Hi, I wanted to make a quick little video today talking about Pogo pin receptacles. Not a Pogo pin, a Pogo pin receptacle. This is what Pogo pins go into. You don't hear many people talking about them. I think a lot of people don't even really know about them, even if they're trying to use Pogo pins. So they're really critical though for actually getting a reliable electronics test or programming fixture. So I just wanted to really quickly searching around, no YouTube videos, no documents, so I thought I'd make a quick little video and go over them briefly. So let's take a look at them. All right, so here we've got a Pogo pin, right? It's a little spring-loaded thing. You use it to test electronics. I've got a Raspberry Pi Pico here, and it makes a nice spring connection to get an electrical connection, but you don't have to do any soldering. So if you're doing a temporary test or something, you know, you get that connection, you move on, and you build a test fixture to do that. Now this is a Pogo pin receptacle. Having a little bit of trouble getting the focus, and this is designed to take a Pogo pin. There's different varieties. This one has a wire wrap thing. So I've got here, I've been messing around a little bit with just making a fixture to test stuff out. I made this little acrylic thing on my sub $500 Sane Smart CNC machine, and it's designed to hold a bunch of Pogo pins, which I have in there. And I'm testing with a Raspberry Pi Pico, which I went with because it has, all these holes here. It also does have some test points where you don't want to go through the hole, and it has some mounting holes. So I thought that was a good one to sort of like test out my system, make sure that was set up. So let's just say we want to attach one of these. We've got this receptacle, right? You put it in there. That one actually went in pretty good. Didn't need to press it in. It goes up there. And now you take and you insert a Pogo pin and push that all the way down. And boom, now you've got something, I don't know how well we can see it. All these pins are lined up very well, right? And if you have a board, and which way does this go now? It's actually very easy. Right, and now you've got all of these pins making contact. That was very simple. It wasn't elaborate. Yeah, so I mean, one of the reasons I wanted to make this video is, we're at my company, we're getting back into manufacturing, and we're getting back into making the production fixtures. And as I Google around and see what people are doing in like the hobbyist, the makerspace, people even trying to do small scale manufacturing, they're really doing a lot of weird stuff to make Pogo pins, work. Actually, really quick before that, one more thing I wanted to show. So just to finish it off, because this is a wire wrap one, we've got this set up. So here's my wire wrap thing. Tool, get that in there. Get it on. Twist, 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 twist. And that's the final thing, right? So now we've got a complete setup to get this to somewhere where we can do some work. All right, so, okay, so back to talking about, so I'm looking around just sort of seeing what people are doing out there, and a lot of people are using Pogo pins, and they're using them in a way that really sucks. And it's like, if you see this and you kind of order some Pogo pins, it doesn't make any sense. How can they be used? They're not very good for electrical connection or mechanical connection, right? Like, first off, they're really long. So you're trying to stick it to some PCB, and a little angle gets magnified, and then it's not touching the part you want to touch. The other thing is they're like really fragile, right? So they bend really easily, and that's another problem with it. Another thing is they're not really through hole. You don't like stick them into a PCB and solder them, and they're not surface mount, right? So it's like, how do you even attach an electrical connection, And then if you actually look at, here's sort of a simple version of what you'd use to like program at a contract manufacturer. I have got reports from contract manufacturers in Asia where something wasn't working. They're sending me videos. They do use devices just like these cheap ones. There are much more expensive ones. But you see that, and they've actually then taken this acrylic here, and it has all these Pogo pins. So that's even like more perplexing, right? It's like, they're not even using soldering. They're not even using PCBs. How do you attach these Pogo pins? And people try and reverse engineer things. They're like, well, I can 3D print the shell, and then you 3D print it, and you're like, well, wait, I need to solder a connection on. And what seems to be going on, and I think it's actually a pretty good solution, what a lot of people seem to be doing now is making a PCB sandwich, where they make a PCB that's designed to fit the pogo pin. They do one, they do another, they're like bolted together with a thing, right? And then the pin comes up through it, so that just the top of the pin sticking out, it's straight, and it's like that. And that actually does keep things pretty straight. But then if that pin gets bent or you need to move it or something, you know, then you've got to unsolder it, and you've got to get through all of that. And my cat seems to be attacking me now, but we'll see what we can do about that. Right, so the solution to that is you actually want to take, get whatever you're putting it in, make a hole somehow. You know, I drilled a hole on this. I actually have 3D printed with SLA some holes, and that actually worked pretty well on a resin printer, you know, just a commercial one, or not a commercial one, a cheap Saturn 8K to get things going, and that worked pretty well. But I think a lot of the problems people have with pogo pins, and it's like, how could this possibly be used or addressed by the pogo pin receptacle, which no one really talks about or knows about. So here's a page I found on Adafruit. What's interesting is this page talks about it, but Adafruit, SparkFun, all of these companies for hobbyists, they sell pogo pins. None of them sell the receptacles. So what do you do? So it's, you know, people are buying pogo pins. It's really hard to buy them without going to AliExpress. You know, you can find a few on eBay, but here we've got a pogo pin and this receptacle, and this fixes a lot of the problems. So it's got this little shoulder here, and that keeps it so that you can drill a hole and it just goes up and it's in the right height every time, you know, once you insert it. It's got a controlled height here. And then at the bottom it has some mounting. Here's one to, I think this is probably a crimp connector. So you stick the wire and you crimp it. They do have solder cup connectors, and then they do have wire wrap ones, you know, like I showed, and that's a 4-square piece of metal sticking out. I think if you want, you even can stick like your standard DuPont jumper wire onto those, so you don't even necessarily need to wire wrap it. And then into those you insert, you know, the pogo pin. So now you end up with this setup where you've just got that little bit sticking out, and it's sitting there. And the pogo's a lot of the issues in terms of it being lined up. You can actually stick it through a pretty thick piece, you know, a 1/4 inch, 6-7 millimeter piece of plastic or MDF or something like that, and that keeps things straight as opposed to trying to deal with a, like, I think standard fiberglass PCB board is going to be 1.6 millimeters, and then you get some wiggle in there to get things lined up. If something does break, you just, you know, or bend, you just pull out the pogo pin and replace it with a new one. So it's a really great way to make fixtures that are much more reliable, easy to use, and it really eliminates a lot of these headaches. So people have found great and not so great ways. Sometimes you see pictures, there's like solder all over the place, but people have found really great ways to work around this. But I think it's interesting to me that they don't even understand that they don't even understand that, like, there's this stuff out there. So once again, now we do have my cat visiting, but here's the thing, and we can see, right, so you've got all of this below the surface. You've got this big thick part here, which keeps things straight. You've got a little bit sticking out there, and then on top of that you have your, you know, pogo pin, which has been inserted, and then if it does go bad, you yank it out, you put another one in, and you get that. So I think that really, it's amazing how much using these simplifies the process of dealing with pogo pins. So, you know, like I said, I just see all kinds of stuff where, and I myself, you know, have my last company, we didn't really have in-house expertise, and we were trying to make some like just development fixtures and dealing with pogo pins, and everyone's pulling their hair out and just cannot figure out how things work. And the answer, once again, is if you're using a pogo pin, you need a pogo pin receptacle. And the receptacle is what you mount to the mechanically to the fixture. It's what you connect electronically, and then the pogo pin just goes in that. And, you know, so I hope that was useful, and thanks for listening.